Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Hope you guys are doing well. As we see, hurricane season could start early with a system brewing off the southeast coast. Now, this one will probably be nothing more than just some riptides and some, heavy waves action as far as for the southeast. Most likely, as this one develops, it would head more out towards Bermuda, but it is possible that we could get an early start going to the season this year. And here you see the general track is away from the coast. And as we know, the storm situation has been one that we really need to keep an eye on. So many areas are experiencing such tremendous storms and inundations. And then we have other areas that are experiencing intense drought. And we will definitely watch this season intently. We see over here, we have a tropical cyclone, Ambo, to make landfall over the Philippines. And this will be the 2020 Pacific typhoon season's first named storm of the year. And, right now, not a very strong storm, only 34-mile-an-hour winds sustained with some gusts up into the 40s. But we'll keep an eye on this one as well, as this one is going to probably impact the Philippines as we see the track of this one going straight on up and over. And here you see flooding rain looming as Tropical Storm Ambo is crawling towards the Philippines. And of course, life is so different nowadays with everything. After 911 happened, you think about how things were impacted, travel was impacted. And now we've had the medical version of that happening, and it's just impacting everything even more.
It is really impacting everything, and we're seeing things already move into place of how our world's going to look different from here forward.
Yeah, so many people are, well, they're making an obvious statement that, there won't be going back. It's a new world. Every major event that we see like that just changes the world permanently. And here we see a dust storm in Argentina carried particles over 80 miles was spotted from space. We've talked about some massive dust storms, and this one was back on March 7th. And according to NASA, the primary source of the dust in the region is from Lago Huapi, which is a shallow lake adjacent to the much deeper Lago Musters. And during Patagonia's dry season, the water levels drop significantly due to evaporation, leaving loose silt exposed at the surface. And, wow, the winds last night were insane. As you guys may or may not know, but we live in a 19-foot camper that weighs like just under 3,000 pounds. And I don't know what the winds were gusting last night, but it was like we were on a boat.
I did. It was kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, but it did make it kind of hard to stay asleep, though. And I watched this, and I got to question whether this is really a fireball, as we see bright fireball streaks across Louisiana and the U.S. Well, I guess you could say it's a fireball, but I'm going to question whether it's really a meteor. So you had a bunch of reports, and when you watch this, I was just curious, wondering if it's perhaps some sort of ship. You see where there were sightings of it. It was moving from the northeast to the southwest and went pretty much right over New Orleans area. There were some sightings even up in Mississippi of it. And there's a couple of videos for you guys to look at. Gotta wonder. I think there's a lot of ships up there. I think that, and I've shared with you guys that our Space Force has been in existence probably longer than I've been alive, is my guess.
Oh, definitely. When they tell us about something, usually it's already been in play for like 100 years.
And this is out of NASA Earth Observatory. Flooding in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, and this was because of torrential rains that ended up causing a dam breach. And Cindy was getting impressions of a dam breach today.
That's right. I was getting impressions of a dam breach. That's so weird.
It might not be this one. Maybe it's something different.
Right.
But this one over here over in what used to be part of the Soviet Union in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. And, there's been so much as far as the intense rains that are really pushing the limits of a lot of reservoirs. And here we see at least one hiker killed in Utah in the Slot Canyon flash flood. Search teams looking for people who may be trapped. And we've done so much hiking across the desert southwest in Arizona, California, and also Nevada. And you could see where there is no water around, but there's been massive amounts of water when you get these, flash floods that just roll in. And it boggles the mind to see some of the boulders that are moved by these powerful floods. So they're still looking for other people that may be trapped. They did get 21 other people out of this flooded canyon safely, and this was on Monday afternoon. So one hiker unfortunately was killed, and this is Utah's San Rafael Swell. It prompted a massive search, and they're still looking to make sure that there's nobody else that they're going to find. So we see hailstorms claim 29 lives, damage up to 25% of Malahabad mangoes. And this is in India. And, the food situation is just going from bad to worse, as we know. And, we'll be doing an update on that. India's been very hard hit, but then so many areas across the globe have been. And so they lost 25% of that particular crop just from this storm. And here we see destructive floods and mudslides claim 72 lives in Rwanda. How many times have we seen that scene, where there used to be a bridge and it's gone, just washed away? It's just a very sad situation. And here you see a video showing the burial of victims. So many areas across the globe are experiencing that. And over here in Guatemala, we have explosions continuing. And Santiaguito volcano and the lava dome is growing. And we were talking about seeing like a new wave of volcanic activity coming. And did you know that there's an ancient volcano that's 81 miles from London? It might not have erupted for millions of years, but it just shows you how the changes happen. And areas like London and the UK is very geologically stable, though we do see some quakes there. And, we had to wonder what was the cause of that. Was it perhaps fracking related going back a while ago? But that is most definitely an area that would probably surprise people to realize that there was a volcano so close to London. So when you're thinking about the most important food for surviving, when things get really tough, and we've talked about, the grid going down many, many times, there's a YouTube video here from Canadian Prepper. And he talks about a 1-year test he did to plant a survival garden. So he started with a small 10 by 10 plot and primarily grew potatoes, carrots, onions, and some green beans. So the question was, which of these foods is the most important for survival? And if you're thinking about storage, then you want to think about, especially storage when the grid's down, you want to think about a root cellar, which is something we've talked about, and we know we have to do something like that. So things that store long term. And so, he was leaning towards the potato as being something that's a good option because you could do so many things with it, and it stores for a good long period of time. And there's other things too that store for very long periods of time, such as some squashes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's plenty of things that store for quite a ways that are totally dense with nutrition.
Yeah, you want to look at micronutrient density. That is so important. Of course, with potatoes, you could do a whole bunch of different things with them, as I smell some actually cooking right now that we are cooking for for today. And so, if you're going to do potatoes, they want nice, loose soil. So if you could rototill, that's good. We actually have a bunch that we started in just like a barrel. And man, they did good. They just took right off.
They did. I was really shocked about how well they did, but that's wonderful.
Yeah. So 13 things not to do when disaster strikes. Number one's panic. Most definitely. You don't want to panic. Panic doesn't do any good.
No, it doesn't, but it's hard not to.
Then you also don't want to just sit there staring at the TV with your mouth open and drool
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, you could just be comatose.
And here they say decline government aid. Though, honestly, yeah, I just have I just don't want to take a stimulus check. I just don't. I just want to be out of government. Period. That's just me, because I know that to me, it's the cause of so much of the woe of the world is everything going on at the highest levels of government. Another thing is just go running, screaming into the woods, bugging out takes a lot of planning, and then you might end up in a much worse situation than if you just, stayed calm and thought things through. And you don't want to act like Rambo resurrected, right? So, walk out of the house with, sword strapped to your back and, two guns on each hip.
That would be kind of cute.
And, don't go blaming yourself. No blame game either. Or anybody else. Just basically, think things through calmly and coolly. And you don't want to resort to lawlessness either. And just because, things may be chaotic, and if you're in the middle of a city seeing looting going on, thinking, well, that's a nice 60-inch TV. You don't want to go down that route. Karma can be a bitch. Run to the store at the same time, joining everybody else, and all the neighbors and everybody else just panicking at the same time. Obviously, don't ignore your basic needs, and you may not be able to take care of everybody who shows up at your doorstep.
Right, you might not be able to, and be prepared with, like, maybe go over in your mind how you would deal with that beforehand.
Yeah, you got to be realistic about things too, and this is part of what we deal with too, because we've had a lot of contact with people throughout time, and you actually we do get people that will ask, can we come stay with you? Can we help build a community and all? And while that would be beautiful, and I'd love to build a community at the same time. There's real dangers out there. There are real dangers out there, and I've had a situation where I was helping somebody, and, it turned out to really kind of backfire. And, definitely ended up costing me a ton of money, a ton of, other things as well. And even, perhaps, putting myself in danger, as well, because, how well do you really know people? That's the thing. And even when you think you know them, sometimes you don't. So you have to be very, very careful and cautious. Despair. You don't want to just despair and panic and think, woe is lost. All is lost, You don't want to give up. And, communicate with your family. Don't keep them in the dark either. I mean, if there's something that that you feel might make them panic, let them know in a gentle way, because it's no good to keep people in the dark, especially when there's, potentially something that could be dangerous.
Well, I think you need to assess the situation a little bit on that one. If you have great grandma that might not have her wits about her, you might want to tread carefully, but otherwise, adults who understand, they should definitely be involved on in what's going on.
Definitely. And a quick look at the quake situation. We see there's still some quakes going on, where we had that big one up in Idaho. There's 7 here today in this area. I was noticing quite a bit of explosions, usually quarry blasts when you see the diamonds here. There's another one over here. And a few up in the Seattle area. Nothing that is unusual for what we've seen. This swarm I haven't seen before on this side of the base. And this is over close to Alamo, Nevada. As you see, Nellis, doesn't look like they're doing any bombing runs today. And then we do still have some activity over here. This is close to Mono Lake and Mammoth Lakes. There's been some swarming there. Ridgecrest has always got some stuff happening. And then we have some small swarms up by the geysers as well, as we see here. These are all kind of small, as you can see. 1.1 might be about the biggest there, 2.2, but 23. So some activity there. Overall, though, nothing out of the usual right now as far as the quakes, though it does kind of feel like something's building.
I got that feeling this morning, and I haven't felt that in a while. And this morning, I don't know, maybe it's these planets in retrograde, but I'm feeling some kind of weird energy.
Yeah, there's a strange, it's kind of like a holding your breath type of feel.
It's that pause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like something's gonna pop. I'm not sure what though. Who knows in this world, the way things are today. I want to thank everybody that is supporting us over on Patreon. Between Patreon and Ko-Fi, you guys, have really helped us to stay afloat. And, we're doing what everybody else is doing. Like Cindy was just on the phone with the, cell service provider. And, we're going to consolidate down to one phone that's in the plans because we're together most of the time. Very often, it's hardly ever that we're not together. So why have two phones? It doesn't make any sense. So, we're like everybody else. We're just looking to cut back everywhere we can. And, eating simply, we really, I think about how little, since this thing has come out, how little money we spend because obviously, like everybody else, we're not going out. We're not going to restaurants. We did go, we got one takeout one time, and that was like $15 for some Thai food for lunch. And then so much of this stuff now is just, we have a regular rotation. So, honestly, I make spaghetti sauce once a week, it seems. I had bought some cases of tomatoes, which we still have some. And then I'll make like a stir-fry rice. I kind of like it either. There's this curry powder that is actually from Trinidad, which tastes yummy. So I like to do that, and a lot of times we'll just basically cook that with some rice and lentils, and then we'll make some different curries, and then we'll make a chili, and that's kind of our normal rotation. And we'll throw other things in too. We do a lot of Mexican. We love Mexican too, and it's just we have plenty of beans, plenty of rice, plenty of lentils, and so it's really inexpensive when you think about it, and very cost efficient. So we're keeping our bills down,
way down. Just start looking at just do your absolute best. And what makes the difference for us is all the spices you have. There is no way that my palate could get bored with the amount of spices, and that's something that you can keep, and it's medicinal too.
Yeah, I had showed in a video a little bit over a year ago, I think, the spices that I have. I think I was thinking about doing another video on that, just to show you guys, because, you could make so many different versions of things, whether, if it's rice and beans, rice and lentils, things like that. You could do it with so many different twists that it won't get really boring.
Right, you really can, and that's the beauty. And what I really enjoy is that spices they can be like blood cleaners and all kinds of good stuff.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So guys, I want to again thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. As always, God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.